Chapter 96. The Requirements of Man and Its Dangers. The Lord. Haven't you read about the former Eden of the earth, where the first human was created? This Eden was a large garden and was planted with the best fruits of the whole earth. And yet the hand of a person could not possibly have worked it before this. Thus the first people had no houses or towns. They had only extremely few needs, which were easy to satisfy. But they remained healthy with it, always reached a ripe old age, and therefore had a lot of time to devote themselves to their inner education of the soul, and remained almost always in a visible conjunction with the powers of heaven. But through the inspiration of Satan, a certain Cain built his son Hanok a city of the same name, and thereby laid the foundation stone for all the evil things on earth. I tell you, man needs very little for life on this earth. But the haughtiness, the lethargy, the arrogance, the greed and domineeringness of man need indescribably much, and nonetheless can never be satisfied. The worries of man are mostly fed on this, and people then quite naturally have no more time to concern themselves with what they should concern themselves, because God placed them on this world for that reason only. From Adam until Noah, the children of the mountains never waged a war, because they had only very few needs, and no one wanted to be anything more than his brother, and the parents asserted themselves in the most respectable way before their children, because they always remained their children's teachers and advisers. But in the lowlands, where the people who were blind in their hearts and their minds began to decorate their teachers and leaders and advisers with too much splendor, anointed their heads, decorated them with crowns, and gave them all power and sway for the sake of appearance. There it was the end of life with few and small needs. Splendor has a great stomach, which can never be filled. The earth, in a small surface area, could no longer bring forth enough food out of the ground, and the people of splendor, who were hard to satisfy, began to spread themselves out over the ground, called the occupied land their full property, ensured splendor on it, and thereby awoke jealousy and envy, and through this also resentment, quarrels, discord, and war. And the stronger in the end became entitled to the law, and ruler over the weaker, forced them to work for him, and to be subservient in all things. The rebellious were castigated, and even threatened into unconditional obedience on pain of death. And see, all that was the consequence of the external cultivation of the earth, of the love of splendor, and of the arrogance stemming from it. But if I now, coming in my spirit from heaven, want to lead you back to the happy condition of the original man, and show you the long-lost path to the kingdom of God, how can you say that the conditions I set to become my disciples are too hard and too unfeasible in general? I tell you, the yoke that I lay on your neck is soft, and the burden that I offer you to carry is as light as a feather in comparison with that which you carry day by day. How far into the whole world reach your worries? Day and night you have no rest and no repose. And that is all for the sake of the world, and so that you will not be held back at the cost of the often bloody sweat of your weak brothers and sisters. With such worries, how should any time be found for the soul to do anything for the awakening of the Spirit of God in you? Yes, your souls and the souls of millions of people no longer even know that they are the carriers of the Spirit of God. Not to mention that they could and should do something beneficial for becoming free and independent. For your love of splendor and comfortable life, the poor and weak humanity is driven by you too strongly to bloody endless drudgery, and therefore cannot do anything to liberate their spirit. And so you are dead along with your subordinates, and are truly children of Satan, and will not hear my word, which earnestly and truly leads you to life. Instead, you defend your word, from which eternal death for you and all your subordinates must necessarily follow.